planet Earth.
All right, Joe, Philogene, man. Thanks for coming down, bro. I know we've been trying to plan this for a while. I really appreciate you coming down for the weekend to film this, bro. It means a lot.
It means a lot you having me here, bro. Like, when you started this, I was like, man, I really hope he communicates and tells me, like, man, come on. So,
Bro,
I'm excited.
On the list of guests, you're like
number one.
No, you're like top 10.
I don't
like when I
that.
was Yo,
like
come
that.
on.
Top 10?
Top 10. You know how much people is on that list? There's like 50 people. Top 10's good. Top 10's good.
It's all right.
All right, I can bump you up a bit. I can put you in the top 5.
Lie.
But
like
you're
that.
episode 9, so
Okay.
it's like
I
top
like
10.
it. But I think I might have been higher if I lived closer. Maybe.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I would have
Maybe
probably
that
had
would've
you.
been
I
like-
probably would have had you before.
No, but thanks. I appreciate you having
Yeah,
me
man,
on.
let's, bro. I mean,
Yeah.
you're the first guest to fly in for the podcast, so that shows
Man, I had
commitment, and I
to.
appreciate that.
I had to, and it makes it for like a good excuse to come and see you, man. Hang out with the guys.
Yeah,
and,
no,
like,
you
be
know,
good for a
that's,
little
I was
couple
telling you this
days.
before. Like, that's one of the reasons why I kind of enjoyed the podcast, because I get to like try to talk to my friends, especially some that I haven't seen in a minute, and I haven't seen you since my wedding last
Your wedding,
year.
yeah, last year.
Yeah, so
And that was a blast.
Yeah,
that was awesome.
it was a blast. It was a
Man,
blast.
it was good seeing so many people that we knew.
Yeah, I tried to
Your
get
wedding.
as much people from our like class and
Yeah.
from Haiti to come, and some couldn't make it, and some I couldn't fit into the budget. But
Yeah.
the people that were there, man, you guys made it worth it, bro. Honestly.
Honestly, it's like what's really funny is like you started a group chat for your wedding, and that
Yeah.
group chat is there. Like,
yeah, boys to men.
It's
that's
boys
what
to
it
men.
is.
It hasn't left. It's still there, and like I think
Yeah.
it's never gonna go anywhere.
Probably not.
So
There's
it's
like
like-
25 people in that group chat.
Yeah, and like what's really funny is like it's just still there. It's still active. You
Yeah.
started for your wedding. It's there.
Yeah, it was good. And I like the icon picture we have. It's so funny.
I haven't really looked at it. It's
I mean, since the first time I posted it, it was so funny.
I
bro.
know we have like another group chat again that I know you had the
Delma
Batman
Sauce-
with.
Oh
the
yeah,
Delma
that
Sauce
one
and
is
Kids.
Delma Sauce
It
and
was
Kids,
like,
right?
yeah, Delma Sauce and Kids. That one's
Yeah.
good too. It's really funny. Like everybody you end up talking to, like from Quisqueya, they're in this group chat
Yeah.
with this group of people. Like,
Yeah, it's
there's,
funny because
like-
we're in three different group chats that are
Yeah.
similar with some of the same people. Maybe one or two people are not in the others.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
What's
kinda-
funny
it's
is
kinda
like
funny.
we have like Kim's in one,
But she's not
as
in
the
the other
only
two.
female.
Yeah.
Like she's the only female in any of the ones that we have. It's like it's
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah, it is. It is. But tell me about your flight over here. How long is the flight from?
The
where
flight
did you come
was
from
2
Virginia, right?
On paper, yeah, from D.C., Virginia area. So what's really funny is like on the flight, it tells you it's like 2 hours and 40 minutes, but it wasn't. I think I landed probably like 30 minutes early. So I think like the pilot had somewhere to be or something. Like he was cruising.
It depends, because sometimes if they fly a little higher, I know they go faster, especially when you want to make up time. or get there.
Absolutely, they
wanna
do.
get there with it.
I remember I flew one time, like when I know we're probably going to talk about it more, but since we're on the subject of flights, I was flying in from Dubai to DC. I don't remember how many hours it was, maybe 13 or something, but we landed almost an hour early, dude. And it was like the elevation that we flew
Was
higher.
it one of those double-decker?
Yeah, it was a double-decker Emirates. Like,
Wow, I haven't been on one
like,
of those.
the Emirates is crazy because it's like the carpet. I felt like you could sleep on it. Like
For-
it was so.
Did they serve you food on the flight?
Oh yeah, it was. But the thing is, like, I'm somebody. As soon as I get on the plane, dormir. Like I
Like,
fall asleep
yeah.
right away.
I do
There's
not.
people that can't sleep on a plane.
I cannot. I'm one of those
I
guys.
have my playlist ready to go. Earphones. I always have sunglasses.
You take sleeping pills at all?
From the Emirates ones, I do. Like from Dubai, I say I do. Like I've done a bunch of them. I've done it 4 times, but every time, like I always take it. Like I always take it with me, and then like I'll take some sleeping pills because there's nothing else for you to do. There's some
Yeah.
people that they'll start walking the aisles and stuff. I'm
You
like,
have to stretch, bro. It's
Yeah, I'm
13
like-
hours sitting.
I'm like, I can't. Like I'll just fall asleep. I like lean back if you do me out of him. And
Wow, that's funny. Well, you remember what they served you in terms of food? I'm curious what the food was like on the plane.
I don't remember. I think there was steak. It seems Emirate-ish.
Oh,
To have had steak and like, but it was really cool traveling through there and going through like Dubai with like the lounges that they have. Lufthansa.
like at the airport, you mean?
Yeah, at the airport.
Okay.
Lufthansa has the best like lounge, by the way.
Wow.
If you're ever going through one, like, because the layovers in Dubai are crazy. They're like 12 hours sometimes, man.
That's crazy. Why
So,
is
like, I think most of it too is because like I was flying in from like Afghanistan to Dubai, and then when you get to Dubai, I guess you land like at 2 a.m. or something. Flight's not till like another like 2 p.m. or something to fly to DC.
Because I went to Spain like 3 weeks ago, and I was on one of those international flights, obviously. And I haven't been fed a meal on a plane in a really long time.
Yeah.
And I remember when we were kids in the 90s, when I used to leave Haiti, we used to get served food on the plane.
Yo, to go to Miami. You're going to Miami. They're giving you food.
They're giving me food. And I used to remember that. Even the little American airline pins.
Yes.
They used to hook you up. And then I'm like, bro, I haven't eaten in a plane in a long time. And when I got to the plane
Spain.
to go to Spain, they're like, what do you want to eat? I'm like, what do you mean, what do I want to eat? You guys are giving me food?
Yeah.
Like,
So what they give you?
There was chicken or steak.
That's decent,
It's
man.
always the
You
no,
bought
it
that
was
puko,
pasta or chicken. Sorry, it was pasta or chicken.
Like you got a little something.
Yeah, and then they give you a snack a little bit later because it's like a 9-hour flight. So they feed you like 3 hours in, and then towards the end they kind of give you some snacks and stuff like that. But and I just remembered eating, and I was like, damn, I can't remember the last time I ate on a flight. Like,
No,
that
you're
was
right, man.
A long
Like,
time.
You going from Port-au-Prince to Miami, really like in the air. You're probably in the air like an hour.
But domestic flights, like from here to Cali, they don't feed you on the plane, do they? On those long
I've never
domestic
flown
flights?
that far. Like I think I've done Texas to DC and stuff. That's probably the furthest I've done. But I think they do feed you. I'm not sure, but I would assume so. When you apete kokemen, like,
yeah, man. Unless you bring food with you on board, and you know the Haitians always bring the food with them on board the plane.
So how do Haitians not get caught with that stuff sometimes, man?
Bro, sometimes I don't even understand how they make it through security with some of the food that they have because it's just dank. Like, it smells so strong.
But apparently if it's like, if the food is cooked, I don't know, like don't quote me on it, but apparently if the food is cooked, like I think it could go through security.
I thought as long as you bought it at the airport, you could go through with it.
Yeah, but dude,
These people, they come with their like container lakay women.
Sospoa, like there's a
with the
famous
little aluminum
picture.
cans.
There's a famous picture that like been circulating on the internet of like this Haitian couple. Like the mom has like like you seen it, right?
I've seen it.
She has like a bolzuri and like her husband and like they're eeting. I'm like, it looked pretty recent. So I'm like,
they still do
interesting,
it. No,
man.
And they always wear like 6 hats.
Yeah.
Like, for some reason.
Haitians' dads always have like a jacket that they got to wear, full suit.
Yeah, like they actually, they're
Sunday's
completely,
best.
yeah. They're
Sunday's best.
Exactly. It's so funny, man. But you mentioned you were coming from Afghanistan. Was that when you were in the army?
So when I was flying Emirates, I was like, I was contracting. So I was flying in, like, really funny is like, one of them, I was coaching before I left to go. So I was living in DC area, Virginia, and I left. I took a contract doing some government work in Afghanistan, and I was helping a friend of mine who was coaching, like getting players into his school and whatnot. And then long story short, he's like, hey, Joe, I'm not going to be there no more. This was like in June. He's like, hey, I'm not going to be here no more. Do you think you want to coach? I'm like, dude, I'm in Afghanistan. Like, I get off of my contract in like 2 months. What do you mean you're leaving? Like, I need a real answer. I'm sending you players or whatever. And he's like, no, it's for sure I'm leaving. So anyways, long story short, I send in my resume. The school contacts me. They're like, hey, we'd like to interview you and whatnot. I'm like, hey, can I do a Zoom interview? I'm in Afghanistan. They're like, no, like, if you can't come in, we're just going to have to move on to next candidates. So I took emergency leave from Afghanistan, landed in Dubai, where we took that Lufthansa and all that, what I just spoke about. And then I flew. This was like a Thursday. My wife was pregnant with our second son, with our second, Arrow. But she was already in Utah. She was doing some like essential oil stuff in Utah. And my daughter was in North Carolina. That weekend was crazy because I was like the only weekend I could come in. I was flying in Thursday, but I landed on like, I think I landed on Thursday, interviewed Friday. My mother-in-law drove up with my little Mitsubishi GT Sport manual. My mother-in-law is awesome, so she came in, drove that, took my daughter, and then I interviewed. My wife came in, I think, Sunday because that's when her flight was scheduled. She might have, and I was flying on Monday. So I got to see my wife. This is like 6 months apart, and got to see my wife. First time with a big belly, really seeing her and everything. Saw her for like less than 12 hours.
Because you were like 6 months out.
Yeah, we had went to Haiti from Afghanistan in like December. like December,
What year
like
is
Christmas. This is 2016.
Okay.
Like 2017. Either way, that December, I think it was like turning 2017. So that's where I saw a bunch of kids from Quisquiato. Like we had
When you went to Haiti?
Yeah, we had
I was there. I was in Haiti, but I don't remember seeing you. We must have not linked up. Yeah, I was in Haiti since 2014.
When did you leave?
2020.
Okay. But it's like, it was funny. It was like, I saw people, but like, I didn't know who was in Haiti too at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, and I was in Afghanistan, so I wasn't like on social media like that as much.
What year did you get married again?
2013.
Because you invited me to your wedding. Prior to that, I didn't see you since
It was
Haiti.
like probably
Since QCS.
7 years probably before that.
Yeah. So and then I didn't see you until after your wedding. I don't remember the last time I saw you.
After the wedding, like
It wasn't
I was still
until
in the
my
armies.
wedding, right?
Yeah, it was until. No, I think I came down one time.
There had to have been a time. There's no way
I
it was
think, yeah.
8 years before, man.
No, I think I came down. Like we see, like, because I was back here at some point in Florida, South Florida. But either way, I land. I see my wife, whatever. So for 12 hours. Then I fly back from Dulles, back on Emirates again to Dubai.
No, what about the interview? You skipped the whole interview.
It was Friday, so I did the interview.
So you did the interview Friday for the coaching gig, right?
For the coaching gig.
This is your first time coaching?
No, I've been coaching like before when I lived in Montreal, and then I coached also when I was in the Army. I played and coached when I was in the Army.
Okay, no, let's backtrack a bit. Let's backtrack a bit. Okay, so let's go back to QCS, right?
Yeah.
2002 is when did you leave Haiti?
I think 2002. Yeah.
Okay, what grade were you in when you left?
Finished 9th grade.
Okay, because you were one grade above me. So I left Haiti 04, and I was in the 10th grade. I was in the 10th grade. Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
Because we were in pre-K together, right?
Yeah, pre-K.
So damn, that's a long time, Joe.
That is a long time.
We've been
like
friends
we've known
for
each
a long
other
time.
since we were like. So it's funny. My son is 6, and when I tell my wife, I'm like, I've known the guys in the group chat.
Yeah.
I've known them younger than my son's.
Yeah. I mean,
I've
known Steve since I was in diapers.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and
it's awesome.
We're 36 now, bro.
Yeah, so like my father-in-law, when you came to the wedding, Mark came, Kimberly came. My father-in-law was like, Joe, like I have friends like from high school.
Yeah,
that like live down the street that I don't even see. And, like your first came, so I definitely appreciate you guys coming out.
Oh man, dude, when you contacted me for that. Because it was so random. Because I don't remember the last time I saw you before that.
Yeah.
And then when you hit me up, and then I was like, I don't remember how I found out that Mark Anthony was going. Oh no, he wasn't. He was my +1. Because you gave me a +1, and I was like, yo, who am I gonna bring? So I text Mark Anthony. I was like, yo, Mark Anthony, you want to go to Joe's wedding? He's like, Joe Philogene? He's like, yeah. I was like, let's go. I already booked the hotel and plane. Just get a flight. And then I ended up coming with Mark, and bro, I was so excited to go because I had never traveled like to this. I mean, I've traveled places in the United States, but I never went without family. This was my first time like traveling alone. You know, and it was really great.
There you go in North Carolina.
Yeah, it was awesome. And dude, and your in-laws were awesome in the house. We got to shoot in the backyard, and I'm like, bro, this is we're in America, baby.
It didn't get more American than that. We had barbecue.
Oh yeah, it was a great time, man. And I was thinking about that the other day when I was like, damn, I remember I was at Joe's wedding. I remember I had a speech. It must have been so bad, bro. Like I'm thinking about like all the stuff I could have said. You have a video of it? I would love.
I don't have a video of it, but I think that's something else that like I have to go and look for. I don't know. Like I think I might.
Because then I'm unfiltered, so I was like, what is he gonna say? Marketing was like, what are you gonna say, bro? I'm like, I don't know. I don't have a speech written down. I'm just gonna wing it. You know, like I just wing everything, so it doesn't matter to me. I just don't want to have like things kind of spill out. You know, you're drinking and stuff. You get kind of comfortable.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to say some old stuff, and then Aaron is like, bro, who is that?
Yeah, right.
Why you never told me about that person? It was kind of wild. But I really appreciate that because I don't even know why you thought of me to send me that, but that was great, man.
Like the thing is like with Haiti and like the friendships, it's like you have that continuity, that relationship, even when you're far away from somebody that grew up kind of the same way you did. It's like it's impossible for you not to feel a connection. I don't know if that makes any sense.
It makes sense because that's how it happens. Well, it makes sense because we can relate. We're obviously in the same situation. So, like, for example, with Nick, when I invited Nick to my wedding, I haven't seen Nick since the 8th grade.
Yeah.
So I'm like, bro, you want to come to my wedding? He was
Showed
like,
up with
hell
his wife and like
and it's
his
like,
kids. Yeah.
You never it's like we never split apart.
Yeah.
He looks the same. We act the same around each other. It's absolutely like it was like we're back in the 8th grade.
Yeah.
Especially when we're at our wedding. It felt like it was a school reunion almost.
That's literally what it felt like.
Minus the girls, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's like,
none of the girl classmates were there.
It's really funny, too. It's like the relationship, like most of the guys from QCS don't have like a relationship like with the girls, which is weird. Like not weird in a bad sense. It's just like
I just think it ends up being weird when obviously like they get married and stuff, and they kind of have like a man, and they're like we'll be talking to like 6 other guys all the time.
In
it's
a
like
group chat. It's like, what are you laughing at?
They're my best friends. Like you spend more time with your best friends than with me.
Yeah,
like,
it makes sense. Yeah,
that's how I always feel like. But every time I do see them, like whether I see Christina or Doris or Kimberly, it's like it's the same relationship. We just don't stay in contact like obviously the boys.
Yeah, absolutely.
But they stay in contact within them. Like Sylvie and them, they talk. They're still very much friends. Like Liana, like she lived in Canada and all these things. The thing with QCS, what was great about it, and I want to get to talk about the school system because you and I both have different schools. Went to Haiti and we went to different American schools after. So I want to talk about the comparisons. But another thing that I really appreciate with the school is the diversity of all the missionary kids that would come from different parts of the U.S. and also different parts of the world. It was really diverse in that sense, and it was really great to have a place where, although I wasn't a big fan of the schooling system, which does not reflect how the school is today. It's under a different direction today. So when we discuss about our experience in the 90s, it's not a reflect of what's happening currently. Just to be clear, like it's not an effect on it today. It was what I experienced in the 90s. But man, did I love going to school just to hang out with my friends, bro. Like because of that school, I have friends that are like brothers, man, like you guys.
Absolutely. I loved my time at Quisqueya.
Yeah, me too.
In a sense, like it's like there's good and bad and everything, but I have so much good that came out of it, especially the friendship, the relationships.
Exactly.
Like the memories that I have are like unbelievable. Like I fell in love with Sloppy Joe's because of Mr. Bob.
Man, dude, talking about Mr. Bob, I hope he listens to my podcast. That'd be a miracle. But dude, Mr. Bob was not how would you say this? The cleanest of people. Yeah. My man's was not like.
I could see that. Like he was kind of rough too. Like
bro, and he was a big dude. He must have been 300 pounds.
But we were young, so that
dude, that man was 300 pounds.
We were young. The guy's probably 120 pounds.
No way, bro.
And like I'm exaggerating. I definitely know
he was big, bro.
He was a big fella.
Yeah, he was a big fella. He was a big. I remember when we used to do PE and he used to run around the basketball court, and we would always make fun of him. Obviously,
he was running around.
He used to like do his little exercise.
Really?
Like, he'd run around the basketball court.
I never saw him standing. Yeah. I always saw him seated.
Exactly, trying to sell you sloppy joes or hard-boiled eggs.
Yeah, like I always. There was hard-boiled eggs. I
remember it's something I never ate outside my house. Yeah, something I never ate outside my house. But dude, I remember one time. I'll tell you this story. I remember one time his daughter had lice. And there was this lice thing going around the school at the time.
That was the first time I think I ever knew what lice was. Yeah.
Dude, she had lice, and I remember her walking into it was lunchtime, so we're all in line. You know how you kind of stand in line, it kind of goes around the building a bit. And she just skips everyone because, her dad is the head person. So she skips everyone. She walks inside. She starts scratching her head everywhere. She's like, Daddy, what's for lunch? Blah, blah, blah. Dude, I immediately just grabbed my tray, no food, and just walked out. Like,
everybody knew already that she had lice?
Oh, I don't know. I knew she did. I can't say if everybody did, but I knew people knew she had it. But
why was
she was so nonchalant. Bro, I don't know, man. Like, people would not miss school. Like, I never missed school. I could be sick. My mom always sent me to school.
Yeah, Haitian parents are weird. Like, I know Mr. Bob wasn't Haitian, but, like, that was weird, man. Haitian parents do not let you miss school.
Yeah, they don't.
Like, I think in my entire life, I missed 2 days of school. Yeah. And one of them was, like, my last day at QCS. That was the only time the only time I missed school at QCS, I think, was just that. Yeah. That was it. Besides that, every day, mom and dad, like, no matter what, I'm going to be at QCS.
Yeah, and my mom would always be, like, early to pick me up.
Yeah,
and every day I prayed for her to be late just one time so I could go out and just play with my friends because recess was never enough, Man,
it was never enough. Like, I remembered, what's funny is, like, kids right now probably don't know the sign of the honk of their parents' vehicle.
Oh yeah. I see what you mean.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you know exactly where I'm going.
Yeah, because now they probably just
Because
send
nobody
texts.
honks. It's a text, right?
It's a text now.
But like our text was a honk.
yeah, you would know who's
It was
honking.
like,
Oh,
you know,
that's Joe's mom.
That's Joe's mom.
Like,
I'm like, beep, beep, beep. You're like, oh, I got to go.
yeah, you gotta go.
I guess it's kind of the same as, like, I guess, with an alarm or something.
But let's talk about the curriculum. Because I feel like as much as I like the school and all the memories I have of it, I wasn't very fond of the education. And when I got to the States, I don't know if I was just a bad kid and I didn't pay attention. And I wasn't the brightest tool in the shed. I never liked to study to begin with. So maybe I'm the wrong person to judge a school's curriculum. But I just remember it really being very religious based. And there wasn't a lot of exposure to outside things. You know, if I remember correctly, it was very Bible centric and very religious. Like we had Bible study, we had chapel. We didn't really have like Haitian history. I feel like I don't remember Haitian history.
Madame Maltino came up with that a little bit towards the end while I was leaving. And this is where it's like, I might be wrong on certain things. Like, I doubt it, but from my understanding, this was when I was gone. My understanding was Madame Maltino came up with, and she started this in front of me, like where she started doing like some Haitian history and teaching it to us. And then I guess like where there was an issue was where she was teaching Haitian history has voodoo in it,
right.
Regardless. Like, I'm Christian, Catholic, but the history of Haiti is predominantly on voodoo during the time of Napoleon and everything. And she was teaching that, but then I guess some missionaries and everybody else didn't really want that to be taught. So then there was friction between her and whatnot. But
you think that's why she was let go?
I believe so. That's what I was told. And
because the school is funded by a church in the States.
Yeah,
so I think it was in
Madame
Nebraska or
Maltino
something.
is like so close to my family. Like, miss her dearly. Like, when she passed, I was in the Army, and I didn't find out because I was in training during the time that she passed.
I don't remember the year she passed. You think she passed pre-earthquake?
Post.
It was post, right?
Yeah. I think 2012. I was in training, and I didn't have my phone on me and whatnot. But we were very close to her. Like, she looked out for me a lot at Quisqueya. I remember at chapel. Like, I'm a horrible singer, but I think in Madame Maltino's ears, I was like the amazing. I was an amazing singer, because no matter what, like, I know when it's time to sing and everything, I'm trying to slouch in my chair. It's like, Joe, and then like I'm like, Madame Maltino, like, I can't.
You remember
sing.
some of the songs?
Like, I remember. No, I don't. Well, I remember a lot of. I remember a lot of the songs, yes, but mostly like throughout. Right, it's not like strictly from Quisqueya, but there was a group, that choir that used to come all the time. They were called
really
Celebrate Singers, but apparently
I never remember no.
It was a choir that would come down, and like they were called Celebrate Singers.
What?
I've asked everybody at Quisqueya about them. So whoever's listening,
I don't remember these people.
Whoever's listening from Quisqueya, I need you to find these people for me. Because it was like amazing music. They would come and do concerts, and it was like great music. I think they were called Celebrate Singers
during school, like on Thursdays when we had chapel.
It wasn't like it was rare. It was like they would come in from the States, I guess, and came in.
I don't know why I don't remember that at all, but
yeah,
I remember a lot of stuff from my
it was
past.
amazing. It was good music, but I think they were called Celebrate Singers. I'm not sure.
Interesting. Okay, so you leave in 2002, right?
Yep.
And you're 10th grade. Where do you go?
We go to Montreal. So we end up leaving to go to Montreal. Like, that's when Haiti was insecurity, like insecurities and everything.
Aristide was going into exile, and then Guy Philippe was coming in to do the.
No, I think that was 2004 that happened. That was before I left.
Oh, okay.
That was before I left.
So that was after you left then, because I left in 2004 because of that.
I mean, yes. I mean, after. Sorry.
Yeah.
It was after I left. The whole Aristide thing and like Guy Philippe and everything. But yeah, so when we left, 2002, I believe, we went to Montreal. That was the height of like getting robbed and everything, and like obviously during Haiti, kidnapping has been like a thing, and but it really started there in that sense of kidnapping.
Yeah.
So like there was a situation, like, it's a really cool story. I was on vacation, and it happened July 26th. I remembered, I think 2001 or something. And I was in Montreal at my cousin's house, and For some reason, I woke up like at 8. This is in summer, obviously. Like, you know, when you're in Haiti, you go to the States or Canada or Europe and spend time with family. And I just rolled out of bed and I got on my knees and just started praying for some reason. And I say for some reason because it's not something I typically do, rolling out of bed. Like, I literally rolled, got on the side of the bed and got on my knees and started praying. And then I start praying, and this was like 8 o'clock. So
A.M., P.M.?
A.M.
A.M. Okay.
So I wake up, rolled out. Like, I didn't stand, nothing,
gotcha.
didn't
So
go
you
brush
woke up
my
in the morning.
teeth,
Got it.
rolled out of bed, started praying. And then July 26th, I talked to my parents that day, blah, 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 nothing. July 28th, my mom was supposed to come in with my grandmother, my dad's mom. So they end up coming. She ends up coming, and, like, she sits me down. She's like, Joe, let me talk to you. And, like, everybody calls me Tidro. So she's like, Tidro, come over here, blah, because my dad's name is Joseph. And everybody calls him Joe, so Tidro. So she's like, Tidro, come on. So she sits me down. She puts me, like, on her lap. Like, mind you, I'm like 14, 15, I think. Like, she said,
come
she's
here,
like,
little Joe. Sit
you
on
know,
my
like,
lap.
I'm sitting. She's like, she explains to me how she got robbed and, like, was temporarily kidnapped, I guess, in a sense. And that was like, I was like, when did this happen? She was like, July 26th, like at 8:30. And, like, to this day, I'm like, my prayer saved my mom and my grandmother and a friend of them in the car.
Wow. So
yeah.
you weren't there when that happened. You were in Montreal.
I was in Montreal. So, like, my mom was coming after to come and spend time with me and, like, see family as well. So it happened, like, I started praying like 8:30. Boom. Like, that it was around the same time.
Crazy.
Like 30 minutes later from afar. I'm in Montreal. She's in Haiti. 30 minutes
later. It's like
later.
you had the sense.
It was a sense. And, like, I've never done that sense before. Not praying, but rolling out of bed and getting on my knees. That was crazy.
Well, something similar happened to my family and I in 2004, which is why we left. So, I mean, around that time, since you already left, I had left QCS in the 8th grade, but I left the school not because of political instabilities. I left Haiti in 2004 because of political problems. But I wasn't in the school. I was at Caroline Villard's school when she first formed it, so I was there. But at one point, it got so bad that you were missing weeks, sometimes months of school. Like, you weren't going to school. And I want to say it was around January, right in the turn of the new year. And I guess my grandparents and my uncle and my dad and mom were leaving work, each in separate cars, right? They were leaving work one day, and they were coming home, and I was already home at the time. And I just remember them coming in, like pulling into the house. And my uncle reacted very hysterically when he got out of the car. Like, he banged on the hood of the car. Like at first I thought it was like he was upset about something, but thinking about it now as an adult, it was like a relief. Like, I can't believe this just happened.
Yeah.
Like, this could have been so much worse. So my mom literally walks upstairs, comes straight to us and says, pack your bags, we're leaving on Monday. And this was like a Saturday. Wow. And we literally in 2 days we were in the States, and that was it. And I didn't get to say goodbye to my friends or anything like that. We just left. I was a junior in high school, halfway through. So I did a little bit of I did a kind of tutor thing when I got here.
Yeah.
And then as soon as I finished, I started my first public school in Cypress Bay High in Weston.
Yeah.
And I had culture shock. Because our schools in Haiti were max, 200, 300 people between pre-K to kindergarten. I go to Cypress Bay.
Pre-K to 12th grade.
Pre-K to 12th grade, sorry.
Yeah.
And then I go to the school here, which is just high school, which is 10, 11, 12, and there's 3,000 kids.
Yeah.
Where do I start? I never took a bus in my life. I had to take the bus for the first time. I don't know how to dress to go to school. We had uniforms the whole time. So all this was a factor, and I've never been in an environment where I was alone and I knew no one.
Yeah.
Like, nobody. And I remember walking into school the first day, getting out of the bus. I felt like I walked into a movie set. It was like everything I've seen on TV. Kids everywhere. Security, buses, kids laughing.
It's a whole operation.
Groups of kids, jocks, goths, whatever. They're just everybody's segregated in their own little groups, and then there's everybody else walking around, and everybody seems to know what they're doing.
Probably not even talking to each other too at times.
I have no idea
Yeah.
what to do. I was lost. It took me forever to figure out where my classes were, where to go, just to make friends. And the first thing I did, and it's the first thing I always do, I open my ears and I listen. I listen to the most familiar thing in the world to me. And what is that? Creole.
Yeah.
I look and listen for Creole. And I found my little group of Haitians that were in the same situation as me, that had left Haiti because of the same problems, in a rush. And then those people that I met, those Haitians that I met that grew up in Haiti, I did not know them from Haiti.
Yeah.
I met them at that school. It was very interesting.
Have you kept in contact with some of them?
Some of them, no. I did not. At one point, when we graduated high school, we kind of just went our separate ways and then kind of lost contact. But every time I do bump into them, I do say hi, and you always have that commonality of like we grew up. But never. It's not like it was for like you guys, where I knew you guys a lot more. I got to bond with them for about 2 years, and then after that, we just kind of like split apart.
Anything you could add to like what your uncle was banging on the hood or anything?
No. So the story goes that when they were on their way home from work, my parents took a regular route that they took, and then my grandparents and my uncle took a separate route. I guess they were detouring. They were probably going to go to the supermarket or something. They were detouring. They were going up to Pencheville instead of taking the Boudon Road to Musso. To go to my house. And they got stopped by a group of a bunch of people, right? And they were telling them to get out of the car, and being reluctant, they didn't want to get out of the car. My uncle is in the car. Her wife is there, and she's hysterical. My grandfather is the car behind with my grandmother. And they're all being how do you say that?
Surrounded.
They're surrounded by a bunch of people. There's guns in their face, and then one of these guys come out of the crowd, moves everybody over. This is my uncle telling me the story. Moves everybody over because he knows my uncle.
Yeah.
And this is why it pays to not disrespect people on the street. Always treat everybody with kindness.
Respect.
You don't know who is gonna be there to help you one day. This guy pulls up and looks at the gang leader and is like, no. These guys are cool. This guy is really cool. He's helped me out a lot. And then the gang leader was very reluctant. He did not want to do it, but he was like, all right, fine, no problem. They let him go. And that's how my grandparents and uncle got back. A few months later, they end up killing this guy.
The one that saved.
Yeah.
Do you know like why?
They probably killed him because of that. It's a payday. Think about it.
So it was for kidnapping, basically?
Yeah, I that's what I thought it was. That's what I think it was. I mean, I'm like 15 years old at the time, so I'm assuming it's a kidnapping because they're not. I'm not. It's not a murder thing like they're trying to kill you. They want money.
Because in my mind, I was thinking of like barricade,
so it's a barricade of a lot of people, not necessarily a roadblock, but it's just people. So think about like 100 people or 50 people on the street. Like your car can't go anywhere. You gotta wait for them to move. So this guy helped them out, and then he would come and visit, the family at the family business at the ice cream shop in downtown, and every once in a while. But they ended up killing him like a few months after that.
Wow. And what you said is true. Like I have a similar situation like that. My mom always tells me the story of she was in the marché one time, and like like Haiti, the machon they're selling like on the ground or whatever.
Yeah.
And my mom always had certain machons she always went and get produce from. And one of them, like my mom's really cordial. My mom's very nice with everybody. So is my whole family. We respect everybody. You never know who's going to be able to help you, whatever. And you don't do it for that, but you're just cordial with everybody.
Yeah. But they're very nice in return. They're humble people. It's not like they treat you with hate and stuff like that.
Yeah. So my mom's looking to buy stuff. And then the lady, come to find out, she knew this kid was going to come and rob my mom in the marché. And she's like, starts yelling at my mom, causing a scene. My mom's looking at her like, why are you yelling at me? She's like, you don't see all my stuff here. What are you doing walking on all my stuff? My mom's like, what? And then my mom, like, she's pretty quick. She's like, what is she saying? She's like, oh, okay. That's something crazy. And she makes a big scene. And then after that, she tells my mom, like, yeah, this guy was coming to rob you right behind you. So
interesting. Wow.
And even it circles back to everything, too, when I tell, like, people that throughout my life and, like, living in the States, a lot of people don't know these stories or haven't experienced anything near what you and I have.
Yeah. I mean, the first time I saw a dead body, bro, I was on my way to, it was elementary school. I was on my way to QCS one day, and it was on Delma. This guy's head was not on his body, and it was on the middle of the street. And I remember driving right past, and my mom was like, don't look. And how do you not look?
Yeah.
Like, it's surreal.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy.
So,
like, Haiti has taught me a lot, bro.
So 2 quick stories about that too is that I was going. We would go to Leogane on the weekends, like on Saturdays and stuff. Go see my grandmother, and there was a back road which right now is like where all these gang members are right now, and it would be dead bodies on the side of the road, like burnt up. Like you would see them on the side of the road, all the way
It's
burnt.
crazy.
And like what's really crazy is that you're seeing this as a young kid, so it's like. I don't want to say you're desensitized to it, to death, but you look at it, you're just like, huh, that's a dead body again. You're like, put the windows up. That's
yeah.
That's the reaction.
That's definitely something you want to do.
But that's the reaction to it. You
It's
see a dead body and just like, oh, mute vite na.
yeah, but when you
Like,
but what's crazy for us, it's like we see it, but for our parents,
yeah,
they see it all the time.
yeah.
You know, especially our grandparents who grew up during the time of Duvalier.
They've seen stuff, so it's like
It's
pull the window up and like I saw a dead body there. And I remember another time too. We were passing Wutayopo. We were going to Delma. I think we were gonna go to an ice cream shop or something. And then we see this guy being chased by a group of people. Mind you, this is probably early 2000s, being chased by people. And we're like, oh, okay, whatever. Like the people he's probably a robber or something. And you know, Haitian justice. They're running after this guy. And we finish having our ice cream. We come back and we see, like, you know what Pelle Brun is? Like they put him on tires. They had him on tires, lit him up. Like, and we knew it was the same guy. Like, we saw his face because he was running right by our car. Like, they
he
lit
must
him
have
up.
did something bad to get that.
Yeah, like at
They
that
don't
time,
they
like,
don't just
yeah,
torture
to
you
do
like that for
and
nothing.
like, yeah, he did
He must
something
have did
pretty bad.
something,
Yeah. Like
But
Haitian
like
justice,
you said, those
man,
Haitian justice, they go barbaric.
it's very barbaric, and like some people will hear some of these stories and be like, "That's crazy." I'm like, it is crazy, and we're not desensitized to that point where we're like, "Oh no, that's normal." It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, we grew up with so much corruption and that crazy. When we got here, people are sheltered here, man. Like they don't get to see a lot of what's really happening. You know, it's
happening
so big
in the
United
world.
States.
Happening in the world. Some of this stuff I'm sure happens in the United States. It's so big.
Yeah, but you
it
also
just is
don't
not
get
covered.
to see it. Yeah,
It's
exactly.
not covered the same way. And like, and one thing that I think it really helped me too, growing up in Haiti, was some of the stuff that I seen in Afghanistan myself, is having experienced that, like seeing death so early, and knowing to adjust and knowing how to carry on.
So when did you join
life.
the army?
2011, 12, I think I joined, and I got out in 2015.
So what did you do
So, like,
after high school? Well, you went to college. What did you study?
So I finished high school in Canada in Montreal. So so I went into Dawson College. I wanted to go into civil engineering because, you know, Haitian parents, there's only 3 jobs that exist on earth.
Docteur, avocat, engineer.
That's it, right?
That's
so
it.
I was like, all right, so I want to be civil engineer. I couldn't get into the program for some reason at the time, so I went to electrical engineering. My first class was 4 hours long, and I sat in front of a circuit board. I was like, I'm not doing this. I was like, I can't sit inside of a circuit board. And my mindset was I was still going to transfer over to civil engineering. I was like, I went into business, and it just became kind of easier because I was playing basketball. It was easier at the same time to do schoolwork while you're playing, and then also I was throwing parties, like college parties, whatever, right? And when you throw that, and it was like it had the business sense in it, where you're able to run a business by having like these events for college events, right? So that ended up, and I stuck with it like till this day. Like right now, I ended up having went to school, did undergrad in sports management, another one in management, then got the MBA. So like, and working on the doctoral of business right now. So business is just what I stuck with. But what's really funny is like I almost like that wasn't where I thought my life was gonna go. It was like doing business.
Were you part of a
courses.
fraternity?
No, like that's not
you
for me.
didn't join any of those things? Yeah,
no, like
I didn't get to do that, honestly. I didn't go to a
did
university.
that even interest you to do?
I would have loved to, because it's, again, I'll go back to when I went to when I first went into high school.
Yeah.
It felt like a movie set. That's what I wanted college to be, like that American Pie.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted that. I wanted that fraternity life.
Yeah.
So bad, but I never went to university. I just stuck around the community college, and then I did automotive technology, which was mécanicien.
Yeah.
Mechanics for cars, general mechanics, and then I went into baking school after that.
So how'd you get into baking? Like,
So
how'd you get into baking and how'd you get into production?
So yeah, that's a pretty long story. So after the earthquake in 2010, I had again, like I said, I was in university, so I wasn't really doing anything in school. Like I didn't know what I wanted to do, right? And I went to mechanic school, and this was 2009, I think 2008. It was a 2-year program, and in 2010 I graduated, same year as the earthquake, but I moved to Haiti to go help out, 6 months after the earthquake. So I was in Haiti for about a year, and I was working with the family business, right? And being, I guess, naive, young, I'm like, I think I can try to do something I want to try to do something on my own, not having the enough experience to actually know what I'm doing. I tell my grandfather, like, I think I'm going to go back to the States and try to do something with one of my friends. At the time we were talking about maybe doing a hookah bar with, like hookah lounge here in the States. So I left to come try to do that. But before I left, my grandfather told me, that job you had is not going to be for you. It's not going to be here for you when you get back. Like, I'm like, damn, I made a mistake now. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do. So I go to the States. I'm like, okay, I'm determined to try to get this thing to work. Come to the States, and I realize I did not know what I was doing. A lot harder than I thought it was. A lot more capital than I thought it needed.
Yeah.
So me and my partner were like, well, I don't know what we're going to do. So we ended up not doing it. So now I was stuck. I didn't know what I was doing. So I was just I went back to school taking just mundane classes like Italian 1 or whatever, right? And I was itching to get back to Haiti because growing up in Haiti with family businesses, there's 2 routes. Either you try to go to college, you do your own thing, or like most people do, they go to college, study business, go back to Haiti, inherit their family business, and it goes down the line like that, right?
Yeah.
So that, for me, that was my
Which
paved
is
road.
beautiful to me, too.
Yeah, it's great. That was my paved road. That's what I wanted to do. I made my mistake. I left Haiti when I shouldn't have. I should have stayed, and I didn't. Now I'm in the States. I don't know what to do. My grandfather doesn't want me to come back. He's like, there's no job for you. You wanted to figure stuff out. Figure it out. Bro, 2 years in, I don't know what I'm doing. No, not 2 years. Sorry. About a year later, my grandfather is in the States. You know how he always comes in. He comes in every few months. So he was talking about how he wanted to open another business, like ice cream parlor / bakery type of thing. And I was like, hey, I'll go to school for baking, if it gets me a job.
Yeah.
He's like, all right, cool, fine, we'll do that. So he pays my school, Le Cordon Bleu. I went for 2 years, graduated in 2014, moved to Haiti, and that's where I met my wife. And then the country starts to go really bad.
Did you know your wife before that?
No, I never met my wife before when I met her.
Yeah.
I met her at a party in 2014, like a few months after I got there. The only person I knew in Haiti when I moved there was Steve.
Okay.
Wow. And Steve was the one that introduced me to most of his side of his friends,
Okay.
and which became my friends. And I was at one of those parties that's when I met Liska. So now I'm in Haiti, and now I'm working with the family business again, but unfortunately, Haiti starts to go bad again. It starts to get really bad. There's a lot of kidnapping. Then the pandemic happens, and then the most unfortunate thing happens. There's another attempt that on my grandfather and my grandmother one day when they're leaving work, but this time my grandfather was killed in the process. And my grandmother was shot like about 4 or 5 times. I don't remember the amount. And she's with us now. She made it, but my grandfather unfortunately did not make it, and that kind of like solidified.
I didn't know this.
Yes, that kind of solidified. I was already leaving, so my grandfather already knew I was leaving the country with my wife because the country wasn't good, and we didn't want to invest into the country anymore. We didn't want to buy a house, and we're like, we don't see change happening, and it's been 3 years and there's still no change, and now we have no president.
Yeah.
So it's really bad. So we left because we needed to leave, but the unfortunate thing that happened to my grandfather also did not make us want to stay even more. So
absolutely,
that was a really big blow for us, and it was a big blow to the family as well. My departure led to everybody else's departure. My aunt had to leave, and all the business had to close down. So now we don't have that kind of like
the family ties
anymore in terms of business,
And
so it
sucks for Haiti, something like that, man. It's like you have like this longevity, and it's just like now taken away.
And they're just like 2 old people too. It's like they did nothing. So it's like it's kind of hard to think about like like the whys, like why do people do certain
It was
things.
targeted or something general or something?
It's hard to say.
Okay,
It's hard to really know the truth. You know,
Okay.
all you have is recollections. Like the driver's story and my grandmother's story. It's hard. Well, my driver is, but my grandma's story is, it's heartbreaking. If she tells you that story, it's crazy, man.
Yeah.
Like her POV. But the driver, because they were sitting in the back seat, but the driver was the first one to get shot, and he got shot in the head. He survived. The bullet ricochets off his skull, like ricocheted. Like he said he heard it go ting, and then he just blacks out. Right? He knocks out for like about 10 seconds. In that meantime, fire is getting exchanged between my grandfather and the gunman.
Oh, your grandfather shooting.
My grandfather shoots immediately after the driver gets shot. You
Okay.
know, but my grandfather has a 5-shooter, so
Okay, yeah.
yeah, there's not much thinking process going. I'm assuming just reaction. So he starts to shoot, and then they start to open fire, and the car is getting bombasted with bullets. He gets hit. My grandmother gets hit. The driver wakes up and just immediately steps on the gas and just puts a big distance between us, between them and the car. And by then, enough Haitians have intervened, and everybody started scattered. And then my grandmother gets put on a tap, gets driven to the hospital. Meanwhile, I'm at work, and there's this organization in Haiti called Hero that has this
The
emergency
helicopter
service
yeah,
or whatever. So we had them on the phone, and my grandmother was trying to dial the number on her phone, and she couldn't. She ended up calling my aunt, who I'm working with.
Yeah.
And my aunt's freaking out, and people in Haiti are dramatic sometimes. So sometimes I take the freak out as in, oh, what's wrong now?
Yeah.
Or like, what's going on? So I'm not really
You're in the
understanding
bakery shop
I'm
kinda
in the
thing?
bakery shop,
Okay.
right? And then she tells me, something's happened. She can't even hold her phone. She's like, I need
Yeah.
you to call Hero. I need you to
Sisma.
find out. Yeah, so she's freaking out, and I'm trying to figure out what's going on. So I'm talking to a friend of mine that works for Hero. His name is Hunter. And I'm talking to him directly, and at this point, I'm in my car, and I'm heading down to the scene because I know where they are.
Where was it?
They were at La Lue.
La Lue.
The road of La Lue. They're literally like 2 blocks away from the job.
Okay.
From the ice cream factory downtown. And then I'm on my way down, and I'm talking to Hunter, who is on call with the ambulance, and I'm like, okay, have they got to the scene? Are they going to the hospital? Are they alive? Like, I don't know anything.
Yeah.
So the whole time I'm driving, bro, at one point it hits me that they could be dead.
Yeah.
And it's
Because
the
you weren't even
worst-
thinking of that at the time.
It's the worst feeling that could possibly come to you when you're going to a place where you might see two people that you love, two family members
Yeah.
dead. So I'm on my way to the site, and then my friend tells me, he's like, no, they're at the hospital. I was like, both of them are at the hospital? Like, he's like, I don't know. I just know that the ambulance is at the hospital. So I go to the hospital. I did not go to the crash site. And I'm glad I did not.
Yeah.
Because my grandfather was there. You know? But you know who did go? For those who's been following the podcast, episode 3, I think Gerard, my uncle,
Yeah.
he was at the scene. He got to the scene.
Wow.
I went to the hospital. The first thing I do when I get to the hospital is I run to my other uncle that's there, and I'm looking at him, and he's looking at me, and I'm like, where are they? He's like, your grandmother is in the ambulance. He's coming. I'm like, okay, where's Papi Toto? He's like, he's dead. Straight up just told me, like, he's dead. And because he's trying to figure out the whole situation, and immediately, like undescribable emotions are pouring out of me at this point, right? And I'm like, I have to make the most difficult call I've ever had to make in my life. I had to call my mom.
Your mom.
To tell her that her dad just got killed. And
where was she?
She was in the States. She left Haiti in 2004 and never went back.
Okay.
That was the hardest call I've ever had to make in my life, and it's something I wish nobody has to do, because it's not pleasant. Just to come up with the words to try to explain to the person like what's happening, and their reaction is like, "What do you mean? What do you mean?" And I'm like, I can't even speak, you know, let alone try to tell you what's going on, because I'm trying to process the thing, and I'm seeing it in my face, right? And then I remember getting off the phone, and then my grandmother comes in on the stretcher. She's going into the operating room, right? And she's like, and then as soon as I saw her, man, I broke down like a child.
Yeah.
Like I just assumed like they were both dead, you know? So it was a relief to see her pull through, because she's a strong,
She's a fighter,
strong woman, man. Like the stuff she encountered, it's been rough for her.
It's a lifetime.
It's been rough for her. Yeah. She has a lifetime of scars, and she wears them. Like, you can see them. Like, they've taken the toll on her. And but now that she's with us, she's a little bit more like relaxed. But she can't move her right arm. She was shot 4 times. She was shot 4 times. The bullet that hit her arm was the one that went up to block the one that was going to her head. Like, if she didn't have this instinct to pull that hand up and get hit in the arm, she wouldn't be with us today, and I would have to bury.
So it was a kidnapping attempt.
I'm assuming it was a kidnapping attempt, or it could have been a robbery or anything. You know, like the thing that's difficult to know is that, well, people fall into a routine. People know who you are. They know your business. You've been there for so long. People know you make money. People see your cars change.
Yeah.
People see all this. You know, people aren't ignorant. You know, so they're watching. So it's just a matter of time before I feel like you become a target yourself, you know? And not that I wish that...
Even through people that you know, that's the thing.
So much people we know have been a victim, you know, to these things, you know? And it's a shame. And sometimes they take lives, sometimes they don't.
In La Lu, like, there was another, like, one of, like, I call her my aunt, but, like, just a very close friend of my parents from young. She went to the bank on La Lu. I remembered, like, this was in Haiti when we were there. She went to the bank, and let's say, I don't remember what it was, the actual amount, but let's say she took out $9,500 out of the bank, and she went down the street, and these guys on motorcycles stopped her, got in front of her, pulled guns out on her, and told her, give me the $9,500.
You just pulled out.
She's like,
that's an inside job.
So she went, she gave the money, she went right back to the bank and went off in the bank.
Yeah.
And like that was happening a lot, and that was like on La Lu, like.
Yeah. You know what's even worse? They do it to the Haitians too, their own people. Like, you get paid bi-monthly, right?
Yeah.
And they would know, like, these robbers would know when the local Haitians are getting paid, and they would stop the buses and literally steal all their money. And these people are getting paid nothing.
Pennies.
Yeah. And it's like, man, these people just got paid, and they're about to go maybe pay their kids' school, or maybe finally buy some food. And then you got this robber that comes every 15 days.
He
stops
works,
the bus.
That robber works twice a month.
Bro, it's crazy. So we started to have to juggle the schedule around just so they get paid in different times, so that they wouldn't be able to
be targeted.
Yeah. And so that they're out of the routine.
And you know, it's like, look at these stories that we're telling each other, and it's like we live in the States.
Yeah.
People don't experience that for their life, like,
bro. And
like,
let's hope they don't. It's not something you should.
Absolutely not.
Man.
You shouldn't experience this.
It's rough.
Speaking to people, and like when some people probably don't even know these stories that I'm telling, and when they'll talk to me about it, they'll be like, "Really?" Like, sometimes I feel like people will probably be more like, "He's making this up." I'm like, but that's where it sounds so made up. But that's the relationship that I think it brings, where we have friends from Quisqueya and Haiti with us, where everybody knows. It's like, that's factual.
Yeah.
It's like,
we all went through the trauma together.
If you didn't go through it, somebody exact one tier away went through the exact same thing or has a similar story that they can tell.
Yeah, yeah. So back to after college, you're doing your MBA?
So no.
When did you graduate college?
I did my MBA during COVID.
Oh, okay. So back when you went to the school in Montreal, you're in the university trying to do civil engineering, right?
Yeah, I was trying to do that. I ended up transferring to international business. I did that, which was funny. I think like it was like Fabrice that was doing business or something. I don't know if you remember Fabrice Pierre-Louis.
Yeah, I remember him.
Like, I think he was.
I haven't seen him in a long time. But he's in one of the group chats with us.
He is like he was doing business, and I was like, all right, let me get into that. So I did that, and then I stuck with it. And then I was working at Adidas while I was out in Canada at the same time. And there was one day, man, there was a it was a snowstorm. But one thing about Quebec, Canada, no matter what, they're not canceling school. The Quebec people that's on the board, I promise you, I felt like they're Haitian parents or something. Like, school doesn't get canceled. I remember I had a little Honda Civic, and we had a fourplex. I'm leaving the house. And this snowstorm, mind you, right? I had an 8 o'clock class, and I'm getting out. I'm like, man, like, where's my car? Like, that's my parking spot. Where is it? It's like nothing but snow. I'm like, I couldn't have gotten towed. It's my parking spot in my house. Like, why would I get towed? I'm walking, looking for my car. I hit this snowbank. I'm like, this is a pretty rough snowbank. I bump into it. I put my arm through. I'm like, I start moving. I'm like,
That's my
car. To tell you how much snow that is.
That's ridiculous.
And I knew I had to get out to like unshovel it. I knew there was a snowstorm and I had a test. And it was an English test or whatever. I still remember it. And I go down, I shovel my car out, and I'm crying, dude. I'm crying because I'm like, I shouldn't be living in here. I'm American, man. Like, I shouldn't be here.
So then why did you go to Montreal?
That's where, like, parents immigrate. Like, you follow your parents. Like,
yeah, but
they go
you said you're American. So why didn't you?
I am, but my parents aren't American.
Ah,
so
I got you. So you're not going to go to the States by yourself.
Yeah, and I was still young. It was we all moved. Like, my siblings are Canadian.
Understood.
So I ended up, like, that day I made up my mind. I'm like, I'm leaving. So next semester I transferred. I went to LIU Brooklyn in New York.
Okay.
Finished out school there.
What year is this? 2010?
2010, just about.
Okay.
2009. And
did you graduate?
Yes, I did. But not right away. It was like 2-3 years. I was a super senior.
What does that mean, super senior? What are you like?
Took more than 4 years to finish your undergrad.
Is that bad or good?
It's not bad. It's just you took longer to do it.
But why did they give you super senior? That makes it seem like it's an achievement or something.
It does.
You did it in 1 year. What are you?
That's how we call it to make you feel really important. You take more than 4 years, you're a super senior.
Oh, you didn't get third place. You got behind second place.
So I was a super senior. And then I did that, and I worked for Adidas while I was in Soho, which was like one of the most phenomenal jobs like I really had.
Like the shoe store? Yeah,
clothing store. So like there's so I worked for Adidas Originals because there's like 3 different Adidas brands. I worked in Montreal, opened up the store there. When they first opened up, I was one of the first employees there. That was an awesome group of people too. I'm friends with a lot of these guys still. In New York, opened up when we were in Soho. It was in Soho. I did that. And then I ended up transferring later on. I ended up moving down to Florida, to Fort Lauderdale, and I was working at Aventura at the Y3 store.
You worked in Aventura Mall?
Yeah, but
So
it wasn't very long though that I did. And like I was doing like, and then like I was looking for spare work as well when I moved down. And
okay, wait, hold on. Let's just stop you for a second.
Yeah.
So you're in New York. You leave New York and you move to Florida?
Yep.
2012. 2011.
Yeah. 2011.
Okay.
So I moved down. I started working for Adidas again. Still, so like this is like Adidas all the way through, and I started doing like looking up work to do, and I look up translations. So for some reason, it came up where there was a company that needed. It was an engineering company that needed things translated from French to English, and it was like a manual from, I think.
You speak fluent French?
I do. So
where'd you learn French?
Haiti.
Yeah, but not in QCS. You from your parents probably?
Yeah, my parents. Yeah. So like, and then I lived in Montreal as well. So
gotcha.
So when I was doing the translations, the French translations. Also, Madame Woku. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah, I remember the
Madame Woku.
She had that.
So
she had that puppet. You remember the what do you call those? They're like one of those stuffed puppets that had the picture of her son on it because her son had passed away when he was really young.
He had cancer, I think.
Yeah,
like
he
had amputated his arm, I believe, or something.
Yeah, poor lady, man. She was great. She was very nice.
Very nice. When 9/11 happened, I was in her class.
That's where you were?
I was in her class in 9/11.
But that was the same year your parents. You just said that.
I think it was the year. Same year.
Because you said July 26th, the day you did the prayer was.
It was July 26th. I'm thinking 2000. Yeah, it was 2001 because we left because we still came back to Haiti.
Oh, so you still came back?
Yeah, so when my mom, I didn't stay. We still came back.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it was 2001.
Yeah, we were in QCS
right.
when 9/11 happened.
Yes, it was. 9/11 happened. Hit the first building. Madame Maltino came by and said like, "Hey, there was a plane that hit," and it was like more like probably like everybody around the world, like a plane accidentally hit into the towers. And we're like, all right, like we're 14, 15 probably, I think, maybe at that time.
I don't think I was that old. I must have been. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
14 years old.
So
sounds about right.
Yeah, it had to have been. So like she's like, it hit the World Trade Tower. And, like, we're living in Haiti. Most of us say, yes, American in a sense or whatever.
Yeah.
But we don't know all these monuments or different places.
Yeah, I didn't know what it was.
So
My
she's like,
dad.
she said World Trade Center. I was like, all right, we don't know. And then the second tower got hit. Then she started rolling out the TVs. I don't know if you remember. And she rolled the TVs out. And then Marabu was trying to explain to us in French class, like, what the World Trade Towers. And then that's when they were trying to decide if they're shutting down school. And they ended up sending us home that day.
Yeah,
so that was my experience.
I just remember getting home at one point after dinner, and my dad was watching the news, and I remember seeing the replay of what was happening.
Yeah.
That was pretty wild.
Yeah.
So you come to Florida in 2012. 2011.
So
that's crazy because I know I was here in 2011 also, and I did work in Aventura.
That's
as
crazy.
A seasonal, in Macy's as a seasonal sales for cologne and perfumes. Oh, wow. Yeah. That was a good gig. It was 3 months, $18 an hour.
That's really good at that time.
Oh, yeah.
But I wasn't like, when I moved down here, I moved in with my cousins, like Peterson and Sonny. We ended up taking a house and everything. And so I was working out there. But it was very, like, living in Florida is very difficult in a sense, especially in terms of transportation. Like, so that was like an issue that I had earlier on of trying to figure out living in Florida. Mm-hmm. Like, you can make it in New York fairly well. Mm-hmm. Montreal, the transportation system's solid. But anyways, I ended up doing that. I did the translations for this company in French. It went really well. Like, I got paid pretty well to do it, but it was, like, obviously temporary because it was just the documentation they needed to change. So then I go on Craigslist because that's where I found it. I went on Craigslist, looked for more French work. I was like, oh, this was pretty cool.
Craigslist was rough back then.
So I went to go look for work, and guess what my next job was out of Craigslist?
Lawnmower?
The Army. So,
what?
So I joined the Army off of Craigslist.
Joe.
I joined the Army off of Craigslist. Are
you kidding me?
I joined the Army off of Craigslist.
What did the?
So I always thought about joining.
The link say?
So
I also don't want to. Looking for work, don't know what you want to do with your life, want to find a battalion or something.
A well-paying job. So what's really, like, my dad was in the Haitian Army too, though. But
really,
it was like, my grandfather was in the Coast Guard. 70s, yeah, in the 80s. Yeah. So, like, probably even earlier than that too. Yeah. So it's like, but it was always something that I've always thought about. But when I actually joined was from Craigslist. So it was a recruiter that put in, like, and the reason why I found it was because I was looking for French. I typed in French, and there was a 35, like, it's called their job series in the Army. They're called 35 Papa. It was a cryptologic French linguist. So I joined the Army because I saw an ad to be a cryptologic linguist.
Nice. Okay, so they got you in. What? Yeah. Tell me the first few days. I want to hear the first few days.
So first few days, obviously, you're going through, like, the motions of, like, doing your paperwork to get into the Army. You're doing your basic training. I did that at South Carolina. Okay. That's one of the most American I felt during a time was going to South Carolina, living, like, amongst Americans more. Because even when I moved to Florida, I was obviously with my cousins, Haitian and stuff. So it was, like, Haitian American. So we're not fully, like, involved into the American cycle, I guess, best way to put it. Joining the Army, like, I'm doing basic training with people that are just, like, straight up American, don't even know where Haiti is in some senses, right? So joined, having, like, weird conversations with people of, like, I remember one guy, like, he didn't know, like, he was like, man, I met a bunch of people from around the world. You had basic training. And I was like, oh man, that's awesome. Like, who'd you meet? Because I thought I knew everybody. He's like, yeah, man, I met people from all around the world. I met somebody from Seattle. I was like, it's not all around the world, dude, but all right. So, like, so that was, like, one of my experiences.
Seattle's another country.
It is another country, I guess. So it's like that stuff like that was like, it was another shock. Because, like, you know, geography in Haiti and Haitians, it's, like, so big. It's like geography is, like, drained into our heads, like geography, education, but you know geography pretty well. So I did that, and then after that, after basic training, I got sent over. I was supposed to go to Fort Bragg, North Carolina. That didn't happen, so I ended up going to Fort Hood, Texas. And that's where I kind of fell in love with the state of Texas. I love Texas. And then from there, moved up to Then I deployed, did some missions, and one of them like was to Togo, where I was on a funeral detail. A soldier had passed away, and he was Togolese, so we had to go bury him.
That's in Africa,
so, like,
right?
Yeah, it's in Africa, West Africa.
Is that a state in Africa, or is it
It's a country.
It's a I don't know why I said state, but yeah, a country in Africa.
Yeah.
So
right next to Ghana.
I assumed it was like in one of the other countries like Ghana or Zimbabwe or something like that. But it's its own thing.
It's its own country. It's really small. Like, I don't even know what
I'd
the
have to
square
pull
foot
up my
is.
map.
It's so small. Like, it's right next to Ghana. So we went out there. It was me and another soldier. We went out and made funeral arrangements. It took a long time.
But why there?
He's from Togo. So
he's from Togo.
He's from Togo.
Gotcha.
It was an unfortunate situation how he passed, but it's a long story. Basically, like, his mother was there from Togo. He put the weapon back on himself. So that was some things that happened, unfortunately, in the military. So we went over there and made the funeral arrangements. It took a long time to do, but either way, and that was during the time I was transitioning out of the military, which was one of the really good assignments of, like, you felt like you're bringing a soldier home. So we did. We put him, like, he went. We took care of the funeral stuff, went to Togo, and then, like, we had some time, me and the other soldier, so we went and visited a slave house, and that was, like, eye-opening of, like, hearing the stories. And the reason why I was also involved in that was because Togo's French, so it helped having me there speaking French and getting all the arrangements done.
So you continued. So that's the job that's the title of the job you had when you were in the military.
That was one of the jobs I had in the military. One of the other jobs, like, really quickly, is I'm an intel person, so it's basically like you go out and make sure, like, if you're gonna go get a bad guy, you have to have somebody like me to confirm certain things,
like locations,
certain things like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
If there's IEDs and stuff everywhere, or like those types of details.
Certain things like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you go to Togo.
Yeah.
You get to the safe house.
So
like, why did you go to the safe house?
It wasn't a safe house. It was a slave house.
No, that's why I said slave house. Like,
so
why
we're visiting. So, like,
just visiting. Okay.
we're already done. Like, there's, like, time in between because we were there like a week, 2 weeks, I think. So we already had done the funeral, or, like, we were preparing. So it was in between those times. We went to the slave house and got a tour. Like, our driver was pretty cool. Like, what's really funny is we're crossing because Togo's really small. It's really thin. So right next to it is, like, Ghana, and he's like, the country's pretty safe in a sense, but he's like, when we're on the border next to Ghana, he's like, we're not stopping at the red lights. I'm like, why? He's like, there's a lot of kids that would just open up the doors and, like, rob us. So he would just take off. Anyways, he was an excellent driver. The embassy had passed him along to us. So we went to the slave house, got to see some of the slaves' house, like, when it was hidden, like, during the time, because it was already abolished slavery when it was there. And that's when the Portuguese would come, the Dutch would come, and the Brits would come and whatnot and come out there and pick slaves. And it was a regular house. It's still standing. It looks good still. Like, I don't know how old it is, 300 years or whatever it is. Still looks good in a sense for it being that long. And they'll show you where, like, our driver got down, of, like, showing you the pictures of, like, showing you, like, the height of these slaves were there for, like, 4 or 5 months, living in about 4 feet high basement crawl space.
Wow.
And when they had to go in, it was like a half circle where that's where they come in. And this house couldn't have been maybe a 3-bedroom house kind of thing, like, to give you dimensions or so. But there's probably like 400 slaves underneath there. And there was one hole for food coming down, like, from the top of the house, one rule.
And were these slaves all people from Africa or just from Togo?
They were from probably all over from Africa, like, tribes that lost fights, and you get sent out.
Does this slave house have any tie to Haiti?
Not Togo. Benin was right next to it, and Benin, like, a lot of Haitians are, like, Benin, like ancestry, I guess you could say. There's some Togolese, but, like, and we kind of do look like him. When I was there, like, you know, like, Haitians are like, oh, ça semble, like, that one looks like me kind of thing. Like, I could see it from the Togolese a little bit, that we do have some semblances of Togolese, but mostly I've always heard it's Beninois.
Okay. But where is that? It's not
right next door. So it's like Ghana, Togo, and Benin.
Okay,
So
that's another country.
Another country.
Damn, man.
So
I
it's
gotta
like,
look at my map again. I always see the
but
big
I'm like,
ones.
yeah, but I'm like somebody like I'm probably different. I enjoy looking at different countries and like.
You ever
I
spin
sit
that
down.
globe when you were in school?
I did
and
that
just
too much.
Point,
I did that
just
too
hope
much.
It lands somewhere and not in the middle of the ocean.
I did that too much. I think I used to do. I think I used to do that with like people in our class, and like we just spin the globe and like point and stuff, and like it always fascinated me, like travel. Like that's why one day I need to retire soon so I could just travel. Like
Should
people
become a
say
pilot,
that,
bro.
yeah, but people say that stuff too, and it's like they're like, yeah, they want to travel and stuff. But me, it's like mostly for the history. And like Anthony Bourdain, like rest in peace. He was also somebody like it was just fascinating seeing all the places he went for food and stuff. His show was phenomenal.
Yeah,
like we just jumped around so much, but
yeah. I mean, he was great. Yeah, rest in peace for real.
Yeah,
man.
But yeah, that was the Togo. Went out and did that. Came back, got out the army, and then moved up here to, well, not here, but moved up to D.C. area with my wife, which was a little bit closer, North Carolina, and then DC. Also, my parents being like in Montreal, my siblings in Montreal, it kind of gave us like the idea.
So when did the coaching thing happen?
So the coaching thing happened like it started up more so you could say in when I was living in Quebec, because I was coaching like while I was in college, like playing, I still coached at the same time. It was weird, like I had enough time to do both of them.
Why did you decide to coach?
So one of my cousins, he actually lives down here in Florida. He was staying with us in the summer in Montreal. He still lived in Montreal, but he stayed with us like over the summer. And like he was like, he was younger than me, and I played basketball. He's like, Joe, can you coach me like for next year for school? And like I was like, I went to the park all the time. And then he's like, hey, we don't have a coach next year. And I was like, I never thought of coaching. He's like, no, you should do it. Like they'll work around your schedule, blah blah blah. And I went to go and try to coach, but like when I got there, like the coach was actually staying. But they're like, hey, we have a girls varsity head coach position if you wanted that. So I did that for a year, and that was like an experience within itself as well, like coaching girls. Phenomenal.
Yeah,
Girls listen a lot better than boys do, like for basketball. So you don't have to repeat yourself as much with girls, like, and they kind of like, sometimes it's like they follow everything like too much to a T. They don't freestyle enough. But as a coach, it's phenomenal coaching.
So when you got the job as a coach, what are some of the things that you had to do when you first got it? Like, I'm assuming like if it's your first time doing it, how do you know how to coach? Just because you can play the sport doesn't mean you can coach it. So
yeah, reading, asking, but when you play, you pick up stuff from like let's say like my first coach, probably your first coach too, is Karim's dad, right? Mm-hmm. Monsieur Saint Louis. So like I picked up a lot of things and remembered a lot of things from Monsieur Saint Louis that I brought in and like did that.
But you have to create like
and you freestyle
game plans.
But you freestyle on it, and like it was a trial and error. I was a young coach.
Did you read a lot of books and stuff on how to?
I did, because there was no YouTube and stuff on there, so it's like I did a lot of research into like trying to figure it out. First year, I ended up coaching the girls, and then the next year, the boys coach ended up leaving, so I ended up taking that, and then we won the championship like my first year there.
Okay. This is while you're still in college.
Yeah, I'm still in college. We won
way before the army.
Way before the army. Okay. So I win a championship like a state. It's called provincial, but like equivalent of states. So won states like within my first year of there. Great group of guys too. It's like really funny because like these guys are my friends because they're only like couple years younger than me.
Right.
So it's like we're friends, like, but these are my guys that I've coached. And then I coached like summer stuff, and then after that, like I think that's when I ended up like I stopped coaching. No, I kept on coaching until I left, like with the whole snow stuff I was talking about with my Honda Civic. And then I went to New York.
To New York, yeah.
So when I was in New York, I wasn't coaching. When I moved to Florida, right after that, basically, like when I joined the Army, like I was playing in the Army and coaching at the same time, like when we were deployed to Middle East and stuff. Like
So what do you mean when you were coaching in the Army? If you already had a job in the Army, do you just mean like when you were playing with the other guys, you would kind of coach them, or are you talking about a legit team?
Legit teams, like overseas, like it's like. Well, legit teams. It's not like you have college, like you're taking buses.
No,
and stuff.
Right.
Like,
but what I meant is that it's not recreational. You guys actually have a team.
Yeah, we have teams. Like we had practice. Like I was like a player coach.
Gotcha.
So I was doing that, and like that actually taught me the most because I was like one of the younger like ranking members, but I was still having a coach like my colonel and coach my sergeant major and
Oh,
coach my captain.
That's interesting.
It was because I think that did shape me into
Because the hierarchy
coaching.
is kind of like
Yeah, because the Army is very hard for people to like let go of rank.
right.
Like it's probably the hardest thing for them to like listen to somebody that they feel like
Is below rank.
they below ranking or they know more.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, as long like the one thing like also the Army also shows you is like being confident in your responses and your like, even if you're gonna be wrong, make sure nobody knows you're gonna be wrong in a sense, I guess, is just to be very authoritative of your responses.
You ever see some? You did anything crazy while you were in Afghanistan that you can share? That's
Things
not
that I could
G14
share.
classified.
That's not G14 classified. Like
what did while you're on a regular day? Nothing
Yeah,
really
so
popped
there's-
off. Like
so there's
what
one.
was it like? Because 9/11 was 11 years ago. Like I'm guessing you're towards the tail end of the war, right?
So it was the breakdown. So like basically like, well, I went to the Middle East twice. One was 2013 to 2014, and then the other one was 16 to 17. So the 13 to 14, I was a soldier, and that was a lot of fun because I met some really good guys, true guys and girls out there that were awesome. We went on a lot of missions. I learned the importance of hygiene very well, of like going out on like 10-day missions, 5 to 10-day missions of baby wipes.
So you mean when you say 10-day mission, for example, you're out of camp for 10 days?
You're out of
So
camp.
what are you doing for supplies? You pack up as much supplies
You're
as you can?
packing up, and you don't know how much water weighs, by the way.
And what are you eating? MREs?
MREs.
How is that? Rate that on a scale 1 to 10.
MREs, like, for me personally, MREs are probably a 5 on 10. And people are probably
And
going
what is some of the meals?
people are probably going to kill me in the comments for saying, because people love MREs.
What's a typical MRE? What is it?
If I remember, there's like an Italian meatball one everybody liked. It's everything. Like MREs, literally, like whatever you think, like there's an MRE for it. Like MREs, but it's like 5,000 calories. It's like supposed to keep you going.
Yeah.
Like you're supposed to get like,
it's like a meal replacement.
Yeah, so like
way.
they'll give you like 3 MREs for a day, and you're like, dude, I'm not eating 3 MREs in a day.
You eat like one or one and a half.
One, and you stretch it out. Because first off, too, you're outside the, like we call it outside the wire.
Yeah.
So you're outside the wire, like you're not trying to have your helmet off, your Kevlar off, and like.
Okay, I have a weird question.
Yeah.
Where do you guys go to the bathroom?
So like you pull security for each other. So like you go on the side of the roads.
I love it.
Like
Dig
I've had to, like, we've gone on like missions, night missions, where you need to go and you have to hop out the truck, but it's dark.
So where you guys sleeping, in the truck?
Oh yeah, you sleep in the truck, or you sleep under the truck, or you sleep on top of the truck. But then like there's like scorpions and stuff, big spiders. Oof. So it's like one time I remember we're on a mission. It was dark, and I had to go relieve myself, like urinate, and like you go there and like you can't see nothing.
It's pitch black, right?
It's pitch black, and there's camels everywhere. So I urinated on like camel feces. And I didn't see it, and I didn't know, and like I stepped in it, and then we still had 2 more days in that truck.
Joe.
I hopped in that truck. Now it's mush around, right?
Dank.
And I don't even know what it is. We're out there. We're like, what is that? And I knew automatic because I'm the one that last left, and it's the winter out there, so the heat in the truck is on, and we have 2 days of this.
Oh my gosh.
Dude, it was bad. That's one like really snippet story. Some of the other ones were like,
ever get ambushed? Like a bunch of guys surround you?
No, that's rare for something like that to happen, because like Americans, we have like it's like a 3-to-1 ratio of like, we always know, like, not always know, but God willing, it's 3-to-1 of like knowing like you have 3 Americans to 1 bad guy in a sense. So ambushes weren't really a thing. But in 2016, so an email, I say saved our lives, an email I was sending. So typically, like, it was like I had night shift or whatever. I was going to send an email out like at 5. We go and eat at 6. That's when like the DFAC, the cafeteria, would open up, and I'm sending an email like at 5:50. I normally send at 5:50, but everybody wanted to go down early or whatever in the office. We all go eat together. And I'm about to go, and like they're like, Joe, hurry up, man, let's go, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, hold on, let me send this email out. Boom, boom, boom. And right when I say it, and like incoming, boom. And had I listened to them and gone exactly, because it's timed, like exactly where you are, because we work 7 days a week, 12-hour shifts. We know exactly.
It's routine.
It's routine. We know at 5:52 we're gonna be exactly there. It hit like 5:52 exactly where we would have been at.
What,
a
a
mortar?
missile?
A mortar.
A mortar. Wow.
Missile mortar. It hit exactly where we were.
And you were outside. You was
we
outside
stayed
the wire.
inside because we were inside.
You were
the
in
wire
the wire.
This time, so they mortared us.
Wow.
So it hit exactly where we would have been.
So what happens when something like that goes down?
So
you
you
guys
shelter
go down
in place.
And look
No, you shelter in place, and then accountability, like make sure everybody's.
But there's no return fire. There's no squad that goes and looks for the mortar, or
maybe.
Yeah. G14 classified.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. So this was when you got back in 2016, or was this the first?
This was 2016. This was 2016. That email.
So how different was it between the 2012 that you left and coming back in 2016? Was it like you never left?
You're talking about the first deployment,
experience-wise, or all that? Yeah.
The deployment. So 13.
The country itself, all that stuff.
It was different because 2016, 17, the mission just became like more handing it over off to the Afghans. So that's what the mission became, was handing it off, shutting bases down. So that's what the mission became, was getting ready to hand it over. There was a bunch of military bases shutting down over there at the time.
And how long would you be on deployment for?
First time we were there 9 months. Second time I was there 12 months.
Nice.
Like 12 months to the day. I landed, like my second deployment, I got there like August 11th on my birthday. And I came back August 11th on my birthday.
Wow.
So literally like.
So aside from the motorcycle, that was the closest call you've encountered yourself in terms of like where you feel
from what I could share, probably, yeah. That was like one of the, like literally that email saved my life. But what else was there? Like we take in contact, like you get shot at, it's the military. Like obviously seems normal.
What movie have you seen military-wise that gives you the closest depiction of what life is like over there? Like Jarhead or something? I'm not going to say The Hurt Locker because I know a lot of people, although it's a good movie, a lot of people say that movie is not realistic. I don't know.
Hurt Locker would probably be harder for people to, like in the military too, because it's EOD. Like it's bombs and only a certain group of people take part of that. So it's hard to say. I don't know. That's an interesting question. I've never thought of it like, what's the closest depiction? I actually enjoy our like military movies, like war movies.
But is there one that, because some of them you could probably call bull on, and others will be like, man, they did their homework on this one.
I like 12 Strong.
I don't know that one.
12 Strong was good, I think. If I remember it all the way correctly, I think so. That was good. It was basically a first group that went into Afghanistan at the start of the war. It was like a group of Delta guys or SF guys, special force guys.
I might have to watch that.
It was good. So
I like 13 Hours like in Benghazi.
Like, yeah, so 13 Hours in Benghazi, that was good. That was really good.
But I feel like Jarhead depicts a pretty good like day-to-day life of what a regular Jarhead goes through in the military.
Yeah, like
I feel like
I don't remember Jarhead all the way.
The one Jake
Jamie
Gyllenhaal?
Foxx.
No, Jake Gyllenhaal. Oh yeah, Jamie Foxx was in it.
Jamie Foxx was in there. Yeah,
he was in it.
Yeah, Jamie Foxx was in there.
Jamie Foxx, man, one of our greatest actors of our time.
One of the most talented people in Hollywood. Sure.
I love his interview he has with Denzel Washington.
It was. So I'm gonna leave here with something. Denzel said, "I'm gonna leave here with something."
Man, I binged Denzel movies the other day, bro. My man is a great actor.
He is, bro. And like
man.
But 12 Strong, I think that's one for you to look at. There's something on Netflix too on this one show called Spy On or something, I think, and it talks about the same group of guys as well. Some of the guys didn't know how, because it was like start of the war, where there was no
right
bases.
After 2001.
Yeah, it was like I think 2002, 3, I don't know, but like right after, where these group of guys didn't know how to ride. There was like one guy that knew how to. They had horses, and like only one or two of the guys knew how to ride horses. So it was like, it was interesting. Like it's different than what I did, because obviously I'm not somebody at that level of those guys, but. It was interesting. That might be a good one for you to check out.
Yeah, I might have to look into that. Yeah, definitely. So, in between 2014 and 2016, you're coaching. Like, that's your main gig?
No, like it's never been my main gig. Like it's
Okay.
a common misconception.
Okay.
Of
So
like,
what are you doing when you're off your military stint in terms of work or?
oh, so I was working for the government still from 2015, like till this day, just about.
Okay.
So
So even now, your coaching is not your main gig.
it's
You
never
work.
been my main gig.
Gotcha.
That
So
does
this whole time, I'm thinking you're a full-time head coach.
no, a lot of people
Gotcha.
like it.
Okay.
It doesn't pay enough for that.
We're clearing it up now, baby. We're
Yeah.
clearing it up now.
It doesn't pay enough for that. But so yeah, so now I'm a director of a club, and then I coach out of high school, and so it's pretty high level basketball. Like the DMV, DC, Maryland, Virginia area is considered one of the best basketball like waters.
What is it about coaching that keeps you involved?
Mentorship of like seeing like and so my calling, I always tell people like my calling from like God, I feel is like nobody tries to. There's always like the middle class, the top part of society and the lower class. Nobody really targets and like looks at the middle class to give them the little boost or the little umph that gets them somewhere. Because I feel like the middle class families end up saving for a kid to go to college. They have a little college fund and whatnot. But if I'm able to come in here and like help this kid get an athletic scholarship and help them elsewhere, now that money that the parents saved can go into restructuring, going into business, doing something for that kid, doing something for them, but at least it's pushing it back to the American economy of boom. Now you have, and that middle class is the one that's the best class, I feel, that can attain the top class and the middle class and know what they want and know how to progress. So that's what I say, like my calling from God is just like hitting that middle class of like helping those kids and the families. And just like it's rewarding when you're seeing like, and it's strategy, like from Quisqueya, like I've been playing chess since I was 4.
Yeah, I did thought of chess since
so like
elementary school, if I'm
we've
not
been learning,
mistaken.
yeah. So I've been doing chess tournaments, and the game of basketball to me is just like, it's just chess, and it's like, and when you remember when you're playing chess, you have the clock and you're hitting, and I still play chess to this day. Like my daughter, I've taught her on and off, and she turns 8 soon, and she knows chess, and it's strategy. I think it's helped me out a lot in terms of thinking on my feet
And problem solving.
Like playing chess is like when I was in Canada, my high school in Canada, like they started a chess club for me to teach other kids, and I ended up doing that. Like
Yeah,
I
you were
literally
born to
had
be
a
a
chess
teacher, bro.
I promise you, I feel like maybe I am. Like they literally started a chess club, and I remember I taught this one kid. He knew nothing about chess a year before. I taught him some chess moves. He spent the entire summer to come back next year just to beat me.
Did he beat you?
He beat me once. That's the only time I'll admit it.
That's like beating Mr. Hersey.
I beat Mr. Hersey.
Yeah. But in the
Like,
beginning, that your goal is to beat him.
That was
Because
the
he
goal.
used to walk around and play 6 people at a time or something, the whole class.
He'd play more than that.
Yeah.
I ended up doing that in Afghanistan. I played 10 people at once. I beat all 10. I had
Wow.
them all lined up. Like in between missions, I come back, boom, had them all lined up, played 10 people, beating them all at once.
You ever played Claude?
I'm pretty sure I had to. Like
I know Claude is like grandmaster type stuff.
Yeah.
Bro,
So
this
like
guy.
I played like Chess Master. I beat the computer. I used to play online.
You
Like
beat AI, bro?
Yeah, like before AI. I guess it was
Before it
always
was-
AI, but
Before it was
before it was
intelligence, it was just
AI.
artificial.
yeah, before it was AI, I beat it. I beat Chess Master. But chess has just been like, it's been phenomenal. It just helps with your brain functions.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's interesting. Oh, actually, to go back to the question you asked me earlier while we were talking about, you asked me how did I get into production.
Yes.
Yeah, so after I left Haiti in 2020, after my grandfather situation, I came here and I wasn't sure what I was gonna do, but I knew my cousin wanted to open his own bakery. So, but he didn't open it right away when I got here. So in the meantime, I hooked up with Clifford Marzuka, who owns a pizzeria, with his brother Jeff Marzuka. So I ended up working at the pizzeria for a bit, for about maybe 6 months or something like that. And then I went to go work for my cousin at the bakery, and I did that for about a year, and then I've always wanted, because of my fascination for film, and I've always loved movies. It's something I compare everything in my life to is movies. Kind of like how Jim Carrey is in The Cable Guy, how his whole life, everything he knows, what he learned through movies. because his mom was never around. He was always sitting in front of movies. So I watched a bunch of movies, and I was always fascinated with movies. I always wanted to work in the movie industry. So I started to research, how can I get into this career without going to school? Because I didn't want to have to go back to school, or maybe even switch states to go into another school, or do another 4-year program and all these things. But while I was in Haiti, I picked up photography, and I learned photography through YouTube. So I was like scrolling through Instagram one day while I was baking, and I stumbled upon this film stills photographer. Her name was Nicola Dove, that offers a Film Stills Academy course, a 2-month course of how to become a stills photographer on set. So someone that takes behind the scenes stills with pictures, right? Not video, just pictures. I was like, this is a job that people do? Like, I had no idea. And Nicola Dove was, she shot No Time to Die and a bunch of other famous movies. So I was in her class, and one of her classes, she breaks down all the different jobs there is to do on set, between gaffer, which is somebody that hooks up lighting, to somebody that assists the camera person, to somebody that operates the camera, to the director, to art director, to PA, which is just an assistant, production assistant, that anybody that needs like anything, there's a PA there to get it for you. There's all these jobs that opened up in front of me, and I decided I was going to try to pursue this thing. But there's no way I could do both. I could not do baking, which is taking 6 days of the week and 10-hour, 12-hour days.
Early, right?
Well, when I first started, I wasn't in the early shift. I started off in the afternoon shift. I would come in around like 4 o'clock, and I want to get out until probably like 1 or 2 a.m. It all depended on how much work I was doing and how much I had to do, because I couldn't leave without finishing what I had to do, right? And at the time, I was rolling the viennoiserie, which is the croissants, the danishes, and all these things. And eventually, I wanted to move to the morning shift, because I'm much more of a morning person than I am of a night person. So I like waking up early instead of staying up late.
Yeah.
So waking up early, because my favorite drug in the world is coffee. So that literally gets me out of bed in the morning. When my alarm goes off, I never snooze. I literally get up out of bed, I drink a cup of water, and hit the coffee pot.
Yeah.
It's an addiction, and it's the best addiction to get out of bed. You'll never snooze if that's your addiction, is to drink coffee. And I love
What's
the
your favorite coffee?
Bro, Haitian coffee is the best.
Rebo?
Like, I wouldn't necessarily say Rebo. My favorite coffee in Haiti was Café Claudia.
Okay.
But one of the coffees that I really enjoyed was actually a coffee that I started doing myself. I found this local farmer in Fussy in the mountains that had a very small plot of land that had their own little coffee, and I used to buy the coffee from her raw.
Okay.
And then I used to roast it myself and make it, bro.
Beautiful.
Some of the best coffee I've ever drank. And I'm not trying to be biased because I'm the one that made it or whatever, but it was really just so good, because the coffee would have a certain unique taste because it was grown around like other vegetation.
Yeah.
And whatever it's grown around, it kind of takes a piece of that. You know,
Absolutely.
when the vegetation falls on the ground, it becomes part of the topsoil.
Yeah.
You get some mangoes in there, you get some bananas, you get whatever is around, right?
Yeah.
And then you get this amazing, unique blend of coffee, you know, pure Haitian coffee. It was some of the best coffee I've ever drank.
I'm sure you missed that.
Oh, I missed it so much, bro.
Yeah. But yeah,
anyways, back to the story. So now I'm trying to get gigs. I got to free up my schedule. So I'm like, I got to commit. So I left my job. I quit my job, and I spent the whole month of January. First, actually, before I quit, I went on my first gig. My first paid BTS stills gig was for 2 days on this short film in Orlando. I was applying I applied everywhere, on Facebook, on Staff Me Up, on Production Hub, on all those things. I was trying to figure out a way to get into it. I have no credibility. I have no references. I have nothing. I'm just typing away. And then all I have is linked to images that I've done in my past, stuff that I've shot, models or events or whatever. And then this lady responds to one of my messages like, hey, I love your style of work. Would you love to be the BTS photographer on my shoot? I'm like, yes, it's possible. I can do this. So I go to Orlando. I had an amazing time on set. Very small set, couple actors, couple crew members, probably like 10 people max, right? Maybe less than that. And I had a blast. And I'm like, man, this is honestly where I feel like I belong. Like this is like my calling. This needs to be what I do. So I get back, I talk to my cousins, and I'm telling them that I want to transition. Like, I think I want to try to pursue this, you know? Like, I feel like this is where I belong. So I end up leaving my job, and I freed up myself, and stuff's not rolling in, bro. Like, I'm not getting the gigs as often, and I'm trying to figure out, like, what do I do? How do I get network? What do I do? How do I figure out where I meet people? So I'm like, maybe I should go to film festivals. So I went to the Miami Short Film Festival, where they showcase a lot of local talent, a lot of short films, and I met Cesare, which is the owner of the production studio that I work for now, which is where the studio is now for the podcast, and he was there promoting one of his films that he shot with another director. He was the director of photography. So you have the director and you have the director of photography, and he was the director of photography on there. We exchanged contacts. And I messaged him in January while I was off work, obviously, and he asked me to come by to one of these events he was having here in the studio. He was showcasing some new lenses that they had. So I came and I got to meet some of the former employees that were here, and I was talking to Cesare, and I was like, "Hey man, do you guys have internships? Like, I would love to like work here." And he's like, "Yeah, what do you want to do? Like, well, what kind of skills do you have?" I was like, "Well, this is like a new venture for me. Like, I'm a baker, bro. Like, I don't know any of this stuff. This is a new field. Like, I only know photography, like from stuff." He's like, "So what do you want to do? Like, what's your goal?" Like, "Well, honestly, I would love to be a DP, like a director of photography, like you. You know, I want to shoot movies." He's like, "Okay, message me in a couple weeks or something, right?" So I go back home and I spent the remaining January. I finished my website. I launched my website. I did all my profiles for online. I did my resume and all that stuff. I contacted him about the position. He told me to come in, and I've been here ever since. That happened in February of this year.
That's awesome.
So that's how I got into production.
I love it that's a passion of yours and you're following it.
Yeah, bro. I love it a lot.
I love hearing when people find their passion and they're with it, because that was one thing that when I was young that always scared me, because obviously with the Haitian parents where they tell you there's only 3 jobs and if it doesn't fit it,
you always feel like you're a letdown.
You
somehow.
felt like you're a letdown if you didn't do 3 of these jobs, and like hearing it, and like obviously times have changed now, like how I'm gonna pass it along to my kids, Arrow, Bashan, and Vieira, of like kind of like be happy, like it's not kind of, but be happy with whatever that you do. Obviously we want our kids to be self-sufficient where they can take care of themselves. But
and the biggest thing too is you have to be brave. You have to have the courage to take the risk.
What you just told me was a whole lot of bravery.
Yeah,
I don't know if I had that much bravery in me. Like, that's
look,
a lot.
I'm fortunate that I was living at home with my mom, so I don't have this necessarily have to pay rent and all these things. So I'm fortunate to have a family that supports me and allows me to try to pursue my dreams,
your passions,
and my passions. A lot of people are probably not fortunate enough to have that kind of situation, and they're stuck in their mundane jobs that they may not necessarily like, but they have to do it because there's no other way for them. They can't afford. If there's anything that COVID, I feel like, taught us as a people, is that the average American, if not the average, most Americans don't have enough savings for a month.
That's true.
Like, after a month, you're done.
Yeah.
You have nothing left. If they take the house away from you, you have nothing. Your car is still being paid off unless you own it. But most people, they're in payments. Most people have leases. Like, it's a tough situation, and it's the financial situation it's really tough. It's really hard everywhere here, and I'm very fortunate to have my family that supports me. So that was the only reason why, and the only way I was able to actually pull that off. Because if I was paying rent or if I had kids, I'd probably still be baking today.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that paycheck is comfortable. You're
but
getting it every
sounded
month.
Still like you enjoyed baking, though.
I love baking. Let's not get it twisted. Like, I love baking. Like, there is a satisfaction that comes out of taking simple ingredients, flour, water, salt, oil, yeast, and you make bread.
Yeah. And
bread that people enjoy.
Like, Erin loves to bake, man.
Yeah, it's
like,
fun. It's fun. Especially when you knock it out. It's like when you finally are cooking alone. When you're living alone, you're starting to cook.
Yeah.
Your first year making food, horrible.
Yeah.
But eventually you get it. and you start to make good food, so much so that when you go out, sometimes food out is not enjoyable. So you rather just buy stuff and take it home and make it.
See, that's where I don't have enough courage myself. So, like, you know, like, kind of the same mindset you said of, like, fixing stuff. Like, one of my friends, like, back in D.C., he's like, Joe, like, you're not going to get everything you want to fix right away. Let's say there's stuff around the house. I'm like, I pay people to do stuff that I probably could do on my own.
Yeah.
But it's so hard for me to, like, look at something I do and look at it bad. Like, I did a horrible job at it because I don't stop. Like, I don't want to say I'm a perfectionist, but it's like I'm a slight perfectionist of, like, I installed that door wrong. Yeah. Every time I walk by that door is going to bother me.
Yes.
All the time. But what you just said of, like, you were just open with a whole year of, like, you're just like, hey, it didn't go, but you're eventually going to get it. Like, I'm impatient in that sense.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah. Patience is a virtue, my friend. And Miami, you have to be patient to survive in the 305 because that traffic out there can turn a sane man insane.
Everybody has a bad traffic thing for every city. And Bro, I've lived a lot of places.
What's the traffic like over where you're at?
DC is atrocious.
How bad is it? It's how do we measure? How can we measure?
I don't know. Like, that's also one of those debates I don't get into.
Really, really bad
I don't get into it because I'm like, DC, like, so you remember Michael McCarn?
No. So
Michael McCarn, like, he lives in DC too. Before I moved there, he's like, this is, like, on record, DC is the worst traffic in America. On record, he said it is bad though. But where I live, it's not that bad because I'm still on the outskirts. I'm more in, like, the Virginia side.
Bro, I lose 3 hours a day, every day in traffic. 3 hours.
Are you serious?
3 hours. I'm dead serious. Sometimes longer than that. It's crazy down here.
There's no back roads or something that you could take? And
if you think you can take the back road and everybody else on the highway is not thinking the same thing as you, believe me, taking the back road is going to add more time.
Wow.
Because now you're stuck with all the lights and school zones.
No, I can't do that.
Bro, you have 3 major highways.
But I also
that are
work
5
early
lanes.
though, so, like, I typically start work, like, at sometimes 5 or 6. So
yeah.
I miss a lot of traffic.
Not me. My schedule's smack dab in the middle of traffic. I have a 9 to 6 schedule.
Yeah.
But not
after 6 though, you should be fine.
After 6, yeah, but I don't want to stay here any longer, so I try to go home and, eat and see my wife and, hang out, try to watch a movie, something like that. But now I started going to the gym, so every morning I wake up at 6 and just head to the gym. So I beat all the traffic. Okay. But the afternoon traffic, boy, can it get bad, bro.
Wow.
Like, everybody's on the road at the same time. I was thinking, I think I've discovered a solution for our traffic problems.
Airplanes.
No. The same concept they do for spring break. They don't let all the kids out at once. Why? Because it's chaos, right? So why have everybody start work at the same time and leave work at the same time? Break it apart during the day. Coming together as, like, I don't know, the governors or the mayors or something, break down the schedule. Have a group of people go in at 11 a.m., have a group come in at 7 a.m.
But technically, I think there is stuff like that. It's just, like, predominantly it's a 9 to 6.
I just feel like it's always that. Like, it's always been 9 to 5. That's the daily grind.
They should just continue on with remote work.
No, bro. I don't like the remote work. I like the hands-on stuff.
Well, for you, it's different. Like, you have to be hands-on. But
like, everything
the
I've
remote
done
work might mitigate a lot of people on the road for you, though.
Yeah. A lot of the work I've ever done was hands-on. When I studied mechanic, working on cars, that's
all
hands-on.
your stuff is hands-on that you told me.
Baking is hands-on. This is hands-on. Like, if I'm not doing something with my hands, I feel like I'm not doing anything.
Okay.
It's kind of weird like that.
Yeah.
So tell me what's next for Joe. Well, what's the end game? What do you have happening?
End game, like, what we have, like, my wife Erin and I were thinking about, like, doing, like, and a couple other people are doing, like, a charitable organization of, like, helping youth and, like, in betterment of themselves and, like, teaching them, like, how to get into school, like, kind of still centered around basketball, but teaching them, like, life skills.
Mm-hmm.
Erin, like, she's a great baker, a great cook, teaching them how to make meals. Myself, education-wise, of, like, teaching, like, geography or doing a French course, or not like I'm, like, some French, like, teacher or anything, but giving them, like, a different avenue of, like, showing them, like, because we could schedule, like, online training for them with different languages and whatnot. stuff like that. That's what one of our focuses is on right now. But coaching is going to be one of those. Like, we have a great group of guys that I coach right now. One of our coaches, Mario, that we're working on. Like, we have a great group, getting them into college. That's one of the rewarding things, is like seeing them graduate in high school and seeing them going off to college. And when
so you only coach high school, right?
Only high school.
Okay.
Turning on the TV and seeing your guys on TV, it's phenomenal, man. Like, you have ESPN Plus and you're clicking through. Like, we're like, all right, so and so player is playing on this channel. We're going to watch them. Like, this year we have 2 of our guys that we coach that are playing in New York. Like, around Christmas time, they're playing against each other, Division I players. And that's awesome. Where
actually, break that down to me. I don't understand. I don't know those things. What's Division I compared to like NBA, and what are these things?
So anything with divisions is basically college.
Okay.
So NBA is something obviously totally different.
Pro, right?
Yeah, that's pro. Division I is like le plus haut niveau, like the highest level. And then you have Division II and III, all of which are phenomenal places to be playing.
So when the NBA is recruiting a player, right? Are they doing it from Division I, II, and III, or just 3?
Probably just 1.
Okay.
Like, probably 99.9% of the time, they're looking at only Division I players.
Okay.
That's the closest that resembles what they're trying to do, and that's where you get the draft and all of that. So, like, this summer, like, I did a basketball camp. Next summer, I'm doing a basketball camp with a group of Frenchmen, Germans, and maybe some UK guys, bringing them to DC. We did like a little preliminary thing this past summer with the club that I'm the director of. So we're going to try to bring that again, and like, we're going to try to travel. I should be going to Europe next year to do some stuff, going to do some basketball camps, also with the charitable organization, like some of the guys that I'm involved with. Some of the guys are into baseball, football. In baseball, obviously, you have Venezuela, Dominican Republic, Colombia, that we're looking to maybe travel to.
And you're like trying to stay in DC, right? You're not trying to leave.
Not
DC?
Really, just because like I'm like, my kids are there, and like I want to give them an opportunity, like sports wise. DC area is very big into sports, and not just basketball. It's some football, American football, soccer, baseball, whatever it is. Like, because it's so competitive. Like, the reason somebody said this one time is the DC area is so competitive, like within parents themselves, that they pass it along to their kids, that your kids just become ultra competitive. Like, my daughter Vieira is probably one of the most competitive people I know. Like, this morning before I left, like, she just ran a 5K. She's 7.
What?
This morning.
Well, if I ran a 5K, I need a defibrillator.
She ran a 5K this morning.
That's crazy.
At 7 years old, and
was she run on a treadmill, or did she go outside?
On a track. It was an event.
Gotcha.
It was a charity event at the school that I coach at, and like, there was like, I don't know how many people, probably 100 or something, that were running. And I'm not being biased. At least I don't think so. I don't remember seeing any kid her age cross the line yet until she did. But she loves to run. She's competitive. Loves soccer, basketball. Great spirit.
She sounds like a St. Louis,
bro. Oh, yeah. Like, she's big spirit, man. Like, she has all the energy.
Those St. Louis, they play all the sports.
That's all of them, man. It's like, and then my middle son, Arrow, he's laid back. He likes basketball, but he doesn't want to be anything outdoors. I took him to soccer. He's competitive, too. Like, all my kids are competitive, but he's more of like, let me chill inside. And then the last one, Bastien. Bastien is like very... he's more like his sister, extremely competitive, wants to play outside, wants to do stuff. He's 2, he'll be 3 in December. And like, he's probably the one that will run another 5K or something with her, with his sister. But Arrow, like, there's no way Arrow, our middle son, would run a 5K. Like, probably when he's older, but like, as of right now, his character, him being 6, isn't something that he would do. But yeah, that's our goals right now. The wife and I, myself, is continue on with that, professionally speaking, just keep developing and bringing good followers together, and create good atmospheres for the world, and putting good citizens of the world out, either through Christianity or through just being good people. Like, being good people is like, obviously everything, like how we grew up is like, you want to see good people prevail.
Yeah. For sure, 100%.
Yeah.
Well, bro, we should wrap this up, man. I know we're getting hungry, so we gotta get some food. But, man, I really appreciate the conversation.
You're going to have to tell me some good spots, man. Take me somewhere good,
bro,
man.
I got you. I mean, like, dude, it's 1:38 a.m. So
Yeah.
I don't know. We're gonna figure out where we're gonna go.
We gotta go quick, I guess.
There's a lot of places open in Miami still, so
Okay.
we're not worried about it. But yeah, man, I really appreciate you coming down, man. I hope it wasn't too much of a hassle for you.
This
to fly
was
down
like
here, bro.
one of the most pleasurable things. Like anytime you need me, if we want to continue on some other time.
I want to do an unsanctioned, G14 classified episode.
So we're not recording it. So we wouldn't record it.
we could go off the record for that one.
Off the record, not recorded, but it'd be awesome, man. I definitely appreciate you bringing me out.
No,
and
thank
like,
you, bro. I appreciate it, man.
This is something I love seeing my friends like doing something that they're passionate about. Like,
yeah.
I honestly feel like I am more passionate about my friends' passions when I see their passion.
Oh, yeah?
Like, it's weird. I don't know if
I
that
what
even makes any sense.
It kind of gets you excited.
Man, the moment I see, like, you're passionate about something, a friend of mine is passionate, like, I get sometimes too passionate about it.
Yeah.
Like Jacques, when Jacques was talking about moving out to D.C., like, I probably was more excited for him than anything, right? Like, I was like, man.
Now my boy's in Russia, bro.
I was like, yeah, man, like, he's out there. I'm like, that's my thing. Like, he's so excited about the stuff. I get super excited for him. Like, when somebody I'm close with and I care about is excited about something, like, it's hard for me to restrain myself from that.
Yeah, and the stories we get to share each other, because we do so much different stuff.
So much. Like, your life and my life is, like, so different.
Yeah.
And, like,
and
we're living
similar
in
at the same
similar
time.
at the same time.
Yeah.
But our mindset, we definitely know is the same.
Yeah.
It's just awesome, man. I appreciate coming out, man.
Yeah, thank you so much, man. All right, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to the OliverStoned Podcast. Safe journeys across the stars.